Welcome to the HealthspanMD podcast. All right, well, welcome to the HealthSpan podcast. We are going to talk about Bryan Johnson's documentary, Don't Die. First, this clip.
My name is Bryan Johnson. I've been spending millions of dollars creating an anti-aging protocol. I take 54 pills, red light therapy, plasma exchanges, and I'm going to be injected with my first gene therapy. Thanks, Doc. I'm trying to be on the outermost edge of possibility for the science.
So I have had just about every day somebody, one of my patients, asking me about Bryan Johnson's documentary on Netflix, Don't Die. And I have to tell you, I wasn't going to watch it. I of course knew about Bryan Johnson. He's the centimillionaire that is spending $2 million a year to live forever. And he's really out on the extreme of a lot of things that didn't make a lot of sense to me. And I didn't want to watch it, but I kept getting so many questions about it that I thought, you know what, I need to devote an hour and a half of my life, or at least start this and have something intelligent to say. And I will tell you, I came away from that documentary with a different view. And there's certain things that I went into that with. I thought, okay, this is an extreme, guy. He is. There's no doubt about it. I'm not suggesting that everything that he's doing is something that we all should be doing. That's not the message at all. But what I did come away from that is one, Bryan Johnson is a very intelligent guy, and number two, he's going about this longevity, approach in a really supportable way. Like he's using the science and the evidence as best as possible to guide him. One of the examples of this, and when I heard that his physician guiding him on this was somebody who didn't do a residency, as far as I know, had just finished medical school, I thought, well, when I finished medical school, I didn't know anything. Like all of the things that I do in my day-to-day practice as a cardiologist, I learned after medical school. But, in retrospect, I think this was actually the perfect person for him, because what I also learned in that time of doing residency and fellowship was I learned a lot about how to take care of sick people. And what I wasn't spending as much time on during that training was how to keep people well. I've self-taught myself that, but it's been a 15-year journey after my training for me to develop those insights. I think he shortcutted it. He found somebody that knows the science, knows the basic biology, and he's really thoughtful about what he's trying. Would I recommend all the things he's doing? Absolutely not. But it's not because they're wrong. I think that what I learned in this is that his threshold, though, for risk and benefit is just different than maybe mine would be, or many of my patients. I have a pretty strict standard for what I recommend to my patients. I want to be, number one, very clear that I'm not going to hurt them. Like, I need to know that first. And then but if I'm recommending it, I think I need to go to a higher standard than not hurt them. I need to be pretty confident that the benefits are going to outweigh those risks. And so my threshold for what I recommend to my patients is, there's a higher standard to that. Bryan Johnson, as I interpreted, his standard's a little bit different. Not lower, but just different. He is more of a, okay, one, he's in agreement. I don't want to be hurt. Like, I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt me. But even if there's a potential for benefit, I want to try it. He sees himself, as I see it again, as like he's learning things so that he can share that with the rest of us. And I admire that. Like, I appreciate his strategy, and it just goes to show you that individual approach to longevity. And I talk to my patients about this regularly. It's risks, it's benefits, it's personal preferences. We have to weigh all of those, and they're unique to each individual. And he does that. And the other thing I like about what his approach is he's not blindly following some path. He'll try something And then he's assessing results. And that's maybe the biggest insight that I share with patients oftentimes when they ask me about, well, is my diet good enough? Am I getting the right protein? Should I exercise? Should I do HIIT? Should I do CrossFit? Should I do Zone 2 training? Like all those things. And I tell them, let the results guide you. For example, if you have great muscle mass, well, then you're doing great on your protein intake and your strength training. If you're not great on muscle mass, then that's your opportunity. That's where you look at your strategies and say, hey, do I need a little bit more protein? Do I need to do more strength training? Like, I'm a results person, and that's what I saw in this Bryan Johnson documentary as well. And he gave the example of doing human growth hormone. That's one of those biohacks that is really popular out there. But what he learned was it wasn't the right strategy for him, and he stopped it. That just makes a ton of sense to me. The other thing I was impressed with Bryan Johnson was he's not missing the fundamentals. Yes, he's doing a lot of things out there. I mean, he says 130 supplements. I mean, that is a crazy number to me, but he's also exercising. He's getting his sleep. He's managing stress. He's, his nutrition is dialed in. Like, he's doing the fundamentals, and I think that makes a ton of sense to me. Like, I tell people all the time, if you're thinking that NAD infusion means you don't have to go to the gym or you don't have to eat well or whatever those biohacks are, you're missing the point. Like, you have to get the fundamentals right, and he does that. Another really thought-provoking thing that he talked about was his algorithm approach to longevity. He calls it blueprint, right? And there was some pushback about some commercialization about that. I don't know. I didn't come across from that as his main goal is to make money. I think his main goal is to learn and share. And if he can use that to generate some revenue, God bless. I hope it works out for him in that. But I didn't feel like that was his main intention, was as a revenue generator. I think that was a secondary thing. But what he said about algorithm, I thought was really powerful, because at first my pushback was, gosh, that just seems like not much fun in life. Like, the going to bed at the same time, not sleeping with nobody else in the bed, getting up at the same time, exercising on a schedule, not eating after 11:30 in the morning. Like, that's not the approach that I want to make. But what his point was, if we choose our algorithm, then we have more free choice. And if you go at this as, okay, well, I need free will, like I need to be able to make my own choices. Well, the world's not set up for those choices to be good for your health. He makes the point. You pass 20 fast food places on your way to work. We have these, addictive algorithms of Netflix and social media and, the marketing around alcohol and cannabis now and all these other things that are clearly not good for our health. And to, deny that those are impacting our decisions, I think is foolish. I think that's the ostrich approach. And what he's saying is that, yes, I'm following an algorithm, but it's actually one that I've chosen. And that's his free will approach to that. And I realized afterwards he's right. I wouldn't have given the word algorithm, but I use habits more. There's a saying of, first you determine your habits and then your habits determine you. I think he might say that, you determine your algorithm and then your algorithm determines you. But the concept is a valid one. And I really appreciated that. So I would highly recommend watching this if your interest is in longevity. But if you're put off by the things that I was put off, the 130 supplements, this, Spartan life, I understand, but go beyond that. Last thing I want to mention, and maybe this was the most powerful thing, and maybe I've already admitted I might be susceptible to the storytelling algorithm in the documentary, but one of the most impactful things was how humanized he was in this. Like, he, his relationship with his son is his loneliness. the choices that he made that separated from his family and his children, and how he got back together with his son later in his high school career, and then, watching him have emotional breakdown in Target over his son going to college and losing him in that day-to-day interaction. That was just so powerful to me. It made him human, but also, re-emphasized to me, as much as we want to pay attention to cholesterol, to blood pressure, to our steps, to our algorithms, we cannot lose out on that being connected part. We need social connection. We need connection to purpose. But that's a individual amount of what you need to that. In the end, when he says, I'm happier than I've ever been, I believed him. I believed him. And so who are any of us to tell him that he's not doing it right when he's achieving his objectives, he's doing work that he believes is important in the world, and he says he's happier than he's ever been. So anyways, I'll say thank you, Bryan Johnson, for putting that out there. What a valuable piece of content, and I think one that we can all learn from. And if you've watched that documentary and it's lit a fire in you, you started to realize the possibilities. Man, I get it. That was me really 15, 20 years ago. Here I am, a board certified cardiologist. I know more about taking care of sick people than I could ever have imagined. And I didn't see the possibilities of adding healthy, vibrant years, but my patients, those select people, those high achievers in longevity, showed me, the truth is life is short, but there's a lot of potential to add 10 to 14 years of life in achieving first principles, those fundamental things. I call them the 3 essentials. Avoid preventable disease, avoid being frail, avoid being cognitively impaired, can be that guide to choosing your program. My practice that's our focus, our goal, to get our patients that additional decade or more of high quality years. If that's of interest to you, connect with us. HealthspanMD.com is our website. We'd love to talk to you and see if we can partner with you to get you that decade of healthy years. All content created by me and HealthspanMD is for general informational purposes only and is not the practice of medicine. No doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of this information is at the user's own risk and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Hi, I'm Dr. Hurst. We created HealthspanMD for people who are dissatisfied with healthcare. Common complaints about healthcare include difficult access, poor communication, rushed appointments, disease-focused or sick care with little interest in helping people get or stay healthy, and little to offer beyond a prescription or a procedure for optimizing health. This type of healthcare is unacceptable, but most aren't aware that they don't have to accept low-quality healthcare. HealthspanMD provides exceptional medical care. That means appointments when you need them, time to talk to your doctor, get your questions answered, understand your problems, and get a clear plan to achieving your health goals. But it also means a comprehensive, proactive approach to your health that goes beyond prescriptions and procedures. As a HealthspanMD patient, you will get our expert, physician-led team of doctors, health coaches, dietitians, exercise specialists, mental health, and other health professionals to help you take advantage of your best opportunities to prevent, treat, and even reverse disease. And you may be eligible to have our care model reimbursed by Medicare and some commercial insurance. If you're no longer willing to settle for low-quality health care, schedule an appointment at HealthspanMD to experience health care as it should be.